Should the law concerning sex offender registration be relaxed? A question that came up during an audit of the Illinois Department of Corrections recently. Welcome back, Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. Last week, we had several audits released. One of the Department of Children and Family Services that said that the department was not properly informing law enforcement of abuse cases in a timely fashion, or even notifying schools of abuse cases in a timely fashion. So you had that as an adverse opinion, which is like the worst type of opinion that somebody could, an auditor can give an agency. And so you've got that to contend with. But the Illinois Department of Corrections audits, it found a series of things, including 46 findings, 40 being repeat findings, and one was a finding including a failure to notify victims and law enforcement after releasing sex offenders, including those who committed predatory criminal sexual assault of a child, aggravated criminal sexual assault, certain offenses of aggravated child pornography, or manufacture or dissemination of child pornography. So the audit said during the examination period of 2 years, the department did not submit the required progress reports to the chief of police or sheriff in the municipality or county for where the offender resides and is registered. In response, IDOC, the Department of Corrections, told auditors that they did not send the semi-annual progress reports for sex offenders under extended supervision because some chiefs of police and sheriffs said that they did not want copies of the reports and suggested legislative changes to the process are needed. Again, IDOC telling auditors that local law enforcement didn't want these reports, so they felt that there's a change in the law that's needed. And is that something that they're going to ultimately move forward with? You got Illinois House Minority Leader Tony McCombie saying no. That's a non-starter. Here she is responding to the idea of relaxing the sex offender registration rules.
Well, I don't understand what the problem is. It's their responsibility. It's their mandate to report that sex offenders are getting out. So I don't understand that. I'm certainly not interested in any legislative fix to remove that mandate. If that's something that they're interested in, I'm certainly not interested in that. And I don't think anybody in the public is. So, It's the job of IDOC to do so. If that's a mandate on the agency, do your job.
So McCombie ultimately saying, hey, it's the job of the state agency to follow the letter of the law, and they need to do their job, as she says. So among other recommendations that IDOC had, you've got, of course, the staffing issues and other workforce training requirements and such. But McCombie ultimately opposing any type of possible relaxation of the sex offender registration. And she urged the Department of Corrections to do their job. Now, we reached out to the Department of Corrections. They didn't immediately return comment as to what could possibly be a legislative change for the sex offender registration. But in 2021, Washington State made changes to its notification process that limits the amount of information that's transferred between their Department of Corrections and law enforcement. Pushback against such notification requirements comes from places like the National Association for Rational Sexual Offense Laws, which says these types of notifications increase violence. Here's a quote. Very solid research validates that community notification of persons required to register on the sex offender registry actually undermines public safety in that it increases the instability of the registered person in regards to housing, employment, and pro-social community involvement. It increases the risk to the registered person and his or her family from vigilante and harassing activities. The National Association for Rational Sexual Offense Laws said. It creates misdirection and increases risk by focusing attention away from the much more likely source of child sexual abuse, family and acquaintances. And it fails to have any effect on the rates of sexual abuse or recidivism. So where could this possibly come from? Not sure. It could be lumped in with some kind of criminal justice reform measures. Again, not sure. But the Auditor General finding that the Department of Corrections wasn't following the letter of the law, and they need to follow the letter of the law. And again, State Representative Toni McCombie making that clear in her response to this question of should they relax the law?
Well, I don't understand what the problem is. It's their responsibility. It's their mandate to report that sex offenders are getting out. So I don't understand that. I'm certainly not interested in any legislative fix to remove that mandate. If that's something that they're interested in, I'm certainly not interested in that. And I don't think anybody in the public is. So it's the job of IDOC to do so. If that's a mandate on the agency, do your job.
Again, it is a mandate, state law. So we'll watch to see what happens, if anything, either in the 6 days of fall veto session or when they return sometime in January.